Welcome to In Her Voice, a podcast created for women who listen to and live by their deepest wisdom, their inner voice. This was made for you, the woman who feels pulled to more, to lead, to create, to dream, and to be a world changer. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am an inner voice coach. Join me here each week as we explore what it means to reach for your inspired potential, all while honoring your worthiness each and every day. Hi there, this is Kelly, and you are listening to In Her Voice, episode number 250. Oh my gosh, you guys. I can't believe that I've been podcasting this long. And at the same time, I can believe it. I want to say thank you to everyone who has been here with me. I feel like there are some people who are listening to this podcast who have been with me since before the In Her Voice podcast, when I was a co-host of the Strong Body Whole Heart podcast. Do you remember that? If you're still out there, wow. That is a lot of episodes, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for you. A lot of times when I'm podcasting, I feel discouraged. I feel like, oh, I'm not doing a good job, or I wish more people were listening, or that could have been better. But then I will go and I will see how many downloads. And the last time I checked, I think we were at over 150,000 downloads. That is a lot of people spending their time with me. I am blown away by that. And I am very moved and so grateful that you would choose to spend your precious time with me. So thank you. Thank you so much. Today, I waffled about what I was going to talk about, if I was going to just reminisce about episodes, or if I was going to do have a topic. And I actually sort of procrastinated pulling this episode together because I just wasn't sure. My creative juices just didn't feel like they were flowing, to be honest. And as I sat with it more and more, I came to a topic that has been very present in my life just in the past couple of weeks, and that is personal boundaries. And this came about because I was voxing with a friend of mine, Tara Newman, who has been on the podcast before. We're good friends, and she's a business coach, and I love what she puts out in the world. And also, I just love spending time and energy with her. But we've been talking a lot about this idea of personal boundaries, and she actually started me down the path of thinking of them in this way, because one can say that the way Tara was describing personal boundaries for herself was the way I describe my own kinder habits. And when she first said it, I was like, oh, well, that's just what I call habits. I think it's really interesting that you call them boundaries. And I think she said something like the boundaries that I keep with myself. And so I just couldn't stop thinking about this. I couldn't stop thinking about this idea because it was like, whoa. I mean, I've often thought about boundaries, and I feel like I have good boundaries with other people. You know, I think of them sort of as a fence, and I know, what those boundaries are and how I interact with people and what is okay and what is not okay. And I feel like I do mostly a good job of holding them. Not all the time, but it's a practice that I am aware of. But when it comes to personal boundaries, AKA habits, that feels really different. And I was thinking, do I want to quote unquote enforce my own boundaries? And then I got to thinking even more about that. And I was like, well, what if boundaries weren't something that we had to enforce? What if instead they were the very things that give us structure to help us feel the way we want to feel, to help us achieve our desires, to help us be in the moment and still take care of ourselves. And that is what kinder habits do. But I think that calling them something like personal boundaries, it just goes deeper. It's for those times in our lives when we need a little bit more support and we need a little bit more structure and we need it from ourselves. And I am all about asking for help and asking for support. And sometimes, a lot of times, we need that from an external person. We need someone to support us. We need someone to provide structure for us. But I do believe there are times in our lives where we need to provide structure and support for ourselves. And I am always transparent with you. You know that. I have been in one of those times of my lives. I only have one life. I have been in one of those times of my life where I need some personal structure and some personal support. And it was coming off a really big June where I had a lot of things going on. And then I purposely took some time off and reset and recharged. And for me, that getting back into the motion is always a challenging time. And I've been struggling over the past few weeks to get back into my own baseline kinder habits. And I honestly, I think it's just been a momentum issue. I have been very still, and now it's taking me a while and quite a bit of effort to get moving again. And I don't mean just still in my body. It just means still in everything that I've been doing. And so as I thought more and more about this idea, instead of kinder habits, of personal boundaries, all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, yeah, this is a really, really powerful thing. And I just wanted to share some of my thoughts with you. I wrote them down because for me, that's always a way to tap into my inner voice. And you know that. And what's super interesting is that the kinder habit that I have been most resistant to over the past few weeks is journaling. And I kept trying to figure it out. Like, why don't I want to journal? Maybe yoga is enough. I've been doing a lot of yoga. Maybe yoga is enough for me these days. And I finally had to give myself permission to not understand why I was having resistance to it. I really wanted to figure it out. I really wanted to understand it and to solve the puzzle of why I stopped journaling. And I can't. And so I gave myself permission to let it go and to just begin again. And I set some boundaries for myself around journaling. And the beautiful thing about these personal boundaries, as I'm interpreting them for myself, is they're not things that restrict. It's not a thing where I say I can only do X, Y, and Z so many days a week. It's the actual opposite of that. Every single one of these personal boundaries that I've been leaning into are all about what are the things that I need to be adding into my life every single day in order to feel the way I say I want to feel. And I said it that way purposefully, the way I say I want to feel. A lot of times we say we want to feel a certain way and we don't actually want to feel that way. We just say it because we think we're supposed to. And so I really want to challenge you, first of all, to get clear on how you actually want to feel. How do you actually want to feel? And be honest with yourself about that. Because if you are not honest with yourself, there is not going to be any sort of personal boundary. There are not going to be any boundaries, period. Honesty with yourself is essential. And that can be its own boundary, right? I am always going to be honest with myself. And I think if I'm being honest with you, for a few weeks, I wasn't really being honest with myself about what I wanted and how I wanted to feel. And now that I've gotten clarity on that, I can have a better understanding of how personal boundaries are really going to help me. So back to what I was saying, they're not restrictive, they're additive, right? I'm adding these things in. These are the things that I need to feel how I want to feel, which is healthy, which is compassionate for myself and for others, which is generous, which is joyful, which is sparkly. All of these things are the way that I want to feel. And I haven't been feeling them. And I believe the reason I haven't been feeling them is because I haven't been doing the habits, practicing the habits that I know help me feel that way. And here's the kicker when it comes to personal boundaries. They aren't always comfortable. It doesn't always feel good to have that structure. Sometimes we just want to not do anything. And that's true. But ultimately, I feel like it's like parenting yourself. I mean, if I have a 2-year-old, my 2-year-old needs structure, right? My 2-year-old needs a bedtime, and they need to wake up at a certain time, and maybe they need a nap, and they need to eat at certain points of the day, and then they need to know what is safe for them and what is not safe. They need to know not to go out into the yard without mommy, right? Those are all boundaries that we set for, a young child. Well, we can parent ourselves in that same loving way. None of those boundaries we set for our 2-year-old children are not loving. They're all based out of compassion and out of a desire for them to be healthy, whole, and well. And we can do the same for ourselves. So it requires us to be honest about how we want to feel, and to know that will not always be comfortable. And it also takes a certain level of personal conviction to keep those boundaries. And that's where the honesty comes in. That's why I have my Kinder Habit Tracker, because it's easy to say at the end of the month, oh, well, I did this many times. But if I don't actually track it, I don't really know. And so I want to have this personal conviction of knowing what I'm doing, knowing how I'm contributing to my own well-being. Personal boundaries like these, when you're creating them for yourself, can also be a great practicing ground for boundaries with other people. And this is really great for people who tend to be people pleasers. I think that people pleasers really struggle with relationship boundaries, with boundaries with other people, because they're afraid they're going to hurt someone's feelings. So when you can keep your own personal boundaries, that's really, really great practice. The other thing about personal boundaries is they provide structure for us. They give us that support that we need. And how many people that are listening to this today, how many times have you read a book that you really loved, or listened to a podcast, or taken a course, or done a masterclass with someone, right? You have the knowledge that you need, for the most part, to do and to feel the way you want to feel. A lot of times all you need is just some structure, and maybe you need some outside support for that structure, and maybe you don't. And if you can be really honest with yourself and say, I just need to give this to myself, that is a beautiful way to do that. And the last thing that I want to say about personal boundaries is, creatively, I feel like not having unlimited options often breeds creativity. When I'm given a set of parameters within which to create, I can actually do more than if I have limitless options. And I think of boundaries like that too. Like it just gives me some parameters to create a life that feels exciting and big, and also safe and whole. And I think that both of those things are really necessary. It's not that we want to be so safe that we're never taking chances, but it's not that we want to be so out there without any sort of boundaries for ourselves that we can't focus in on the things that are important to us. So this has been a little bit of a ramble. I recognize that, but I just want to challenge you. If you're in a place now, as you're listening to this, I'm recording this in August, and summer is always kind of a funky time for me when it comes to structure. And the beautiful thing about structure is I'm not talking about like get up at 5 a.m. and do this and this and this and this. That might work for you. And if that structure works for you, that is great. What I am saying is you can create your own structure that works well with you, with your soul, with your personality, with your inner voice, with your person, with you. You can create it as you need it. It's personal, it's unique, and it will work for you if you're honest with yourself about why you're doing it. Remember, going back to the idea of kinder habits, which I've talked about a lot in previous episodes, and for those of you who use the Enoughness Planner, you know all about kinder habits. But going back to this idea of kinder habits are never punishing. They're never about making up for something that we aren't proud of. So a perfect example of a punishing habit would be working out like crazy because you had ice cream. And so that's a very punishing thing. Like I have to earn it. I have to work it off, right? As opposed to working out because it gives you energy and it helps you feel healthy and it makes you feel alive and it helps you rest better at night, right? Movement is, for me, key to life. And it doesn't really have much at all to do with fitness or health, to be honest. And when I say fitness or health, I mean like how much I weigh or what I'm eating, right? Movement for me is an essential part of who I am. And when I do it, I feel good. So I have a personal boundary for myself around movement, and it is just move your body every day. And it can be gentle movement and it can be harder, movement and more intense movement, and that is okay too. So you can create the structure that your body and your soul and your mind need. So if you are interested in kinder habits, if this is something that you want to use in your life and create some personal boundaries for yourself, I want to encourage you to go to kellycovert.com. And at the very top of the website, there is a place where you can click and get the Kinder Habits Worksheet PDF. And this comes straight from the Enoughness Planner, which you can buy on Amazon if you want to go whole hog. And I encourage you to do that because it is a great way to help you keep those boundaries that you set for yourself. But if you're not sure if you're quite ready for all of that yet, go get the Kinder Habits PDF. It's free. All you need to do is put your email in, and you can start to develop your own kinder habits and think about how you can define them as personal boundaries, a way to help you feel exactly the way you want to feel. I hope this helps you in your daily life. I hope this helps you feel inspired and encouraged to create your own personal boundaries. Remember that if you listen to anything on this podcast and you have questions, you can always email me at kelly@kellycovert.com or reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Kelly J. Covert on Instagram or through my contact on my website. I'm always happy to answer questions and be of support to you in any way that I can. Remember this, when you are living a life that is supportive to yourself, you are going to be living a life where you are creative, where you are excited to get up in the morning, where you feel healthy, where you feel energized, where you feel beautiful, where you feel sexy. All of these things that we want to feel, right, are within our grasp if we put into action and into being the correct habits. And when you do that, you will feel the way you want to feel. And remember this, you deserve to feel the way you want to feel, because every single day you are worthy.